Chef Mark Tafoya from Remarkable Palate Personal Chef Service in New York City. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a Beurre Blanc sauce, and that's going to accompany an amazing herb-crusted salmon that we're going to broil in the oven. So let's get to it. Okay, I've got my mise en place for tonight's dinner. I have these beautiful fresh English peas that I'm going to make into a minted pea side dish, and I got some wild sockeye salmon that I'm going to crust, and I'm going to do a Beurre Blanc sauce with it. So this is my mise en place, and let's go. Okay, I'm going to start with making the Beurre Blanc sauce, and you can see I've got my pan on medium heat, and it's heating there. I'm going to start with putting a few little knobs of butter and just melting those little guys. Butter's nearly melted. I'm going to toss in a few little bits of minced onion. That won't fall out. There we go. Some minced onion. You normally do this with shallot, but didn't have any shallots on hand, so I'm doing it with onions. So I finely minced the onions, and I'm going to just start to sweat that out. The onion is sweating nicely, and I'm going to add a little pepper and a little salt to that and stir it around. And we're going to continue to cook this, but now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of white wine. Okay, just toss a little bit of that in there. And a little bit of vinegar. I've got some white wine vinegar. You could use red wine vinegar, any kind of vinegar you like. Okay, let's put that in there, and then I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher, and we're going to cook it down and reduce that until it's called au sec. Au sec just means dry in French. So we're going to cook it down until it's almost dry. So now I'm going to make my my spice rub, my herb rub for the salmon that I'm making. I've got some rosemary and some lavender, and I've got these beautiful little rose hips in there. I'm going to add some pepper, some salt, and a little bit of garlic powder. Okay, so let's use a little mortar and pestle action. We don't want to destroy it, but we want to mix them all together. So that's going to be a nice little rub for the fish. So I've got my sockeye salmon, and I've got it skin side down in a little pan. This is easy to dispose of, so I use these little aluminum pans. There's some oil in there, and basically I'm just going to sprinkle this herb seasoning that we've created. I'm just going to sprinkle that over the salmon. You could also lay it down in a plate and then dip, just kind of dip the top of the salmon in there, but I already had this prepared like this. I've got my broiler preheated, and I'm going to put the salmon in there and just broil it away. Now we're going to move on to cooking these peas. I've got another pan heating on medium-high heat. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil to the pan, swirl it around. Ooh, it's hot. Then I'm going to put my onions in there, reduce my heat. So now I've got my onions just kind of gently simmering away, and I'm going to add my peas. I've rinsed and drained them, and I'm just going to add the peas in there, give them a nice stir with the onion. You can use scallion for this if you like that. It gives it much more of a spring kind of, a spring in your step. I'm going to saute this for just a little bit. We don't want to cook it too much like on this kind of high heat, but I just want to get the heat into the peas for a bit. Next, we're going to blanch the peas, and normally we would just use water, but I have a little bit of this white wine left over, so I'm going to use the last of that wine, and we're just going to simmer these guys up. I'm going to add a little bit of water in there too. Okay, so I've added the wine and the water, and I'm just going to simmer that away, and meanwhile, I'm just going to trade places on these two guys here, and we're going to come over here and chop our herbs. So I've got some fresh mint. I'm just going to get a little handful, and what we're going to do is ball it into a little ball here. And then I'm just going to slice this up, and that's going to go into the peas when we finish it. All right, you see you've got some nice color there on the broil, and I'm just going to switch it over to the oven to finish it up, and I'm going to reduce the heat down to 350. My onions with my wine and vinegar mixture is now what we call au sec. See, it's almost completely dry. And so I've got some cold butter, and I'm going to add these one by one. I've reduced the heat to a low heat. I'm just going to add a few pieces at a time, and I'm going to melt this butter and stir it in, and then that will end up with what we call a Beurre Blanc sauce. You see the last of that last addition is melting, and we're little by little, we're emulsifying this sauce, but it really takes a slow hand when you're doing this. You wanna just add them piece by piece on very low heat. The butter is cold, so you're really creating a thick sauce. And of course, we used a lot of onions here, so I'm just gonna make extra of this sauce until we get the right consistency. And again, adding little by little. And you can see there I've added the last of my butter, and there should be enough residual heat to finish melting that. So I'm going to turn my heat off, and you see my butter is my Beurre Blanc is nicely emulsified. Now, the reason we use wine and vinegar as well as the onions there is to have a nice balance between the fat and the acidity, right? So it's a really well balanced sauce. Now, you got to keep this warm until service. So if you're not going to use it right away, you can put it in a thermos, or you can put it in a small pan over a water bath. So that's ready to go with my fish. My peas are almost done, and I'm gonna add a few of these pearl onions that are, they're pickled, so they'll give a nice acidity and nice flavor, and they're full size. That's all I had left, so, but it's a good proportion for the amount of peas I have. And then we wanna finish this off with all that beautiful fresh mint that I chopped up. And so that dish is ready. If you had some lemon zest or some lemon juice, you could toss that in there. But again, we've got a nice balance of acidity with the white wine that I added. Salmon's out of the oven and beautifully crusted. I've got my minted peas finished and my Beurre Blanc sauce, and I'm going to show you how it all comes together now. You see I've got a simple baked potato that I kind of smashed up and seasoned, but that's my salmon, my peas that are minted, and I've got my Beurre Blanc here, and all you need is just a little bit over the fish. It's just a beautiful combination. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. To see more cooking videos, you can look right over here on my YouTube Remarkable Palate channel. And hey, there's a cooking video there that you might enjoy. You can find me on my website at remarkablepalate.com and on all the social media channels under Chef Mark. Until next time, this is Chef Mark Tafoya. Bye-bye.